She said it like it cost her nothing. "You're not my mother anymore." Then she turned her back and walked down the aisle, toward the people who replaced me. I was still standing there holding the heirloom necklace I'd saved for her since she was 10. I'd even baked her favorite casserole for the rehearsal dinner. No one touched it. And her father, he didn't even look at me. His new wife was glowing like she'd just won a prize. I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I just walked out. But not before I burned that moment into my memory. The bride's mother, that's what I was supposed to be. Instead, I was the woman they pretended didn't exist. Her stepmother stood where I should have been, wearing my color, holding my role. I didn't say a word. But I never forgot what she did. "My name is Monica. I raised my daughter on my own after her father walked out. I gave up everything, sleep, career, a social life, to make sure she had enough. I paid for dance classes, therapy, braces, college. And I never said a bad word about her father, even after he left me for a woman 10 years younger. When Avery started pulling away, I thought it was just growing pains. I didn't realize she was already rewriting our entire story. She stopped calling as much. Stopped visiting. Her texts got shorter, colder. I told myself it was normal. That she was busy building her life. But deep down, I knew something had shifted. Something I couldn't fix. The day she married into that lie was the day I buried the daughter I used to know. 5 years of silence. Then one night my phone lit up with her name. No apology. No "Hi, Mom." Just, "I need you." Her baby, my granddaughter, was sick. Bone marrow transplant. Rare genetic match required. And I was the only match in the registry. She explained it like she was reading from a script. Medical terms. Percentages. Headlines. I sat there on my couch, phone pressed to my ear, listening to my daughter's voice for the first time in half a decade. And all I could think was, the girl who once told me I wasn't her mother now wanted to borrow my blood. She didn't ask how I was. Didn't acknowledge the years of silence. She just needed something. And I was the only one who could give it. She launched into the diagnosis like a business proposal. Survival rates. Hospital protocol. Headlines. I let her talk. Then I asked the one thing that mattered. "What's her name?" She hesitated before saying it. "Lila Ann." My mother's name. My chest tightened. My mother had passed away 4 years ago, alone in a nursing home because I couldn't afford better care while putting Avery through college. Avery hadn't come to the funeral, said she had exams, but she'd named her daughter after my mother. She named her daughter after my mother, but didn't invite me to her wedding. The irony burned like acid in my throat. "When do you need to know?" I asked quietly. "Soon. As soon as possible." I didn't answer right away. "Mom." Her voice cracked slightly. "I'll call you back." I hung up before she could protest. Got tested. I didn't tell her. I wanted to be sure before I made any decisions. The results came back. I was the only compatible donor. I sat there in the clinic parking lot holding the paper. I could save her child's life. But what she didn't know was, she wasn't the only one who'd made choices 5 years ago. After the wedding, after she told me I wasn't her mother anymore, I'd made some choices too. I'd stopped waiting by the phone. Stopped hoping she'd come back. Stopped letting her rejection define me. I'd built a life without her. A small life maybe, but it was mine. And now she was back, asking me to give pieces of myself again. I had something she couldn't buy, fake or steal. This time the power was mine. I agreed to meet. She showed up with perfect hair and a clipped tone, like we were strangers. She never once said sorry. Not for the wedding. Not for the years of silence. Instead, she said, "Thank you for doing the right thing." Like this was a moral obligation. Like she was doing me a favor by letting me in. We were sitting in a sterile coffee shop near the hospital. She had a folder in front of her, organized and color-coded. She talked about Lila's condition, the surgery timeline, the recovery process. But she didn't talk about us. About what she'd done. She sipped her latte like this was a business meeting. I watched her carefully, This stranger wearing my daughter's face. That was the moment I knew she hadn't changed. But I had. She handed me a folder. Hospital contracts, consent forms, legal releases. Everything already signed by everyone. Except me. The hospital had my name wrong. They'd listed her stepmother as maternal grandmother. I stared at that line for a long time. Barbara. Her stepmother's name was printed right there in black ink. The woman who destroyed my marriage was listed as Lila's grandmother. And I, the woman who gave birth to Avery, raised her alone, sacrificed everything, was nowhere on that form. I looked up at Avery. Her expression was blank, almost defiant. "Is this a mistake?" I asked, pointing to the line. She shifted uncomfortably. "The hospital just. They had Barbara's information from when Lila was born. And you didn't correct it. Does it really matter right now?" Smiled. "I signed nothing. They'd erased me on paper. But biology doesn't lie." I went home and opened my safe. Inside, a flash drive with everything she'd ever sent me. Voicemails, emails, screenshots. Every time she twisted the knife. One message from years ago played in my ear. "Just stay away. It's easier this way. She's more stable than you." She meant the woman who destroyed my marriage. I sat there in my quiet living room, listening to my daughter tell me I was less stable than the woman who'd had an affair with her father. The woman who'd convinced Avery that I was the problem. There were other messages too. Cruel ones. Cold ones. "Stop trying to contact me. You're making this harder than it needs to be. I've moved on. You should too." I kept them all. Every single one. She forgot what she said. But I never delete anything. I drove past my old house, the one I'd bought after the divorce, where I raised Avery. It was unrecognizable. The tree she planted in the front yard as a child. Replaced with patio stones and a fountain. Her father and Barbara lived there now. They'd bought it during the divorce. Got it for cheap because I couldn't afford to keep it. The shutters were a different color. The garden I'd spent years cultivating was paved over. Even the mailbox was different. I sat in my car across the street, staring at the ghost of my old life. Everything I'd built there, the memories, the love, the late nights rocking Avery to sleep, all of it erased. They tore up our roots. But mine went deeper than any foundation. The last Mother's Day I spent with her, she canceled dinner and posted a smiling photo with her stepmother. Caption: "Thankful for the woman who raised me." The photo showed up on my feed while I sat alone in a restaurant, waiting at a table for two. I'd ordered her favorite wine. Made a reservation at the place we used to go for special occasions. She texted me hours later. "Don't make this about you. About me." I'd given her 23 years of Mother's Days. Every single one I'd made special for her. And Barbara, who'd known her for barely 5 years, got the credit. I paid for my untouched meal, drove home, and cried until I couldn't breathe. That was the last day I let her see me cry. After that I built walls. High ones. Strong ones. I wasn't going to let her hurt me again. I told her I'd do it, but on my terms. Private hospital. No press. No visitors except medical staff. No cameras. No stepmother. Jibok. Her father called, tried to reason with me. I told him this wasn't a negotiation. "Monica, you're being unreasonable," he said in that condescending tone I remembered so well. "I'm being clear. Those are my conditions. Barbara has been a part of Lila's life since. Barbara is not her grandmother. If you want my bone marrow, you follow my rules. You can't seriously be this petty when a child's life is at stake." "I'm not petty. I'm done being erased. Take it or leave it." He tried to argue, but I hung up. 10 minutes later Avery texted. "Fine. Away. Just please don't back out." They spent years controlling the story. This time I'd control the ending. I sent an anonymous letter to the hospital board. Included were recorded messages, legal history, and public behavior inconsistencies. I didn't lie. I just shared what was already true. I attached screenshots of Avery's social media posts. The ones where she publicly claimed Barbara raised her. The ones where she erased me from her narrative. I included the voicemails where she called me unstable. I added the wedding invitation, the one that listed Barbara and her father as parents of the bride, with no mention of me. And I sent medical records showing I'd been Avery's sole caregiver for 23 years. The hospital's legal team would need to verify the family dynamics before proceeding with such a major transplant. Suddenly they were on alert, watching her, not me. I didn't do it for revenge. I did it for documentation. Truth is quiet until it's documented. The stepmother snapped in the hospital lobby, said something awful, loud enough for a nurse to hear. I wasn't there, but I heard about it later. Barbara had shown up despite my conditions. Security stopped her. She started yelling about rights and real family. Then she said it. That bitter woman is just trying to punish everyone because she couldn't keep her husband. A visiting family member recorded it. It hit the internet within 48 hours. The video showed Barbara, perfectly dressed and perfectly furious, blaming me for enforcing boundaries. The comments section tore her apart. Imagine being the other woman and playing victim. The audacity of a homewrecker calling someone else bitter. Team Monica all the way. She told the world who she really was. I just held the mirror. Avery broke down in the counseling room. Said I was manipulating her. Said I was punishing her. The hospital required family therapy before the transplant could proceed. Standard protocol for living donors with complicated family dynamics. Avery sat across from me, arms crossed, eyes red. "You're using Lila to get back at me," she said. "I'm saving Lila's life," I replied calmly. "By making impossible demands. By setting boundaries." The counselor leaned in and said gently, "Or maybe your mother just stopped letting you hurt her." Avery stared at the counselor, then at me. Her mouth opened but nothing came out. She'd spent 5 years controlling the narrative. Controlling me. That was the first time she didn't get her way. And she didn't know what to do. She left the session early, slamming the door behind her. I stayed and finished the appointment. The day of the procedure arrived. I went in, signed the forms, and gave what only I could give. The surgery took 4 hours. When I woke up, the nurse told me everything had gone perfectly. The transplant was successful. Lila's body is accepting the marrow. Relief flooded through me, followed by exhaustion. After the transplant, I held Lila in my arms for exactly 8 minutes. She didn't cry. She just looked at me with dark, curious eyes. Avery's eyes. She was small and fragile, tubes and wires attached to her tiny body. But she was alive. I stroked her soft hair and whispered, "I'll always show up for you. Not for your mother. For you." A nurse took her back to the NICU. I watched her go, tears streaming down my face. Before I left the hospital, I gave the nurse an envelope. Inside, baby pictures, old letters, and one final message. "You chose to forget who I was. I didn't." The envelope was addressed to Avery but marked, "To be opened when ready." Inside were photos of me holding her as a baby. Pictures of her first birthday, her first day of school, her high school graduation. Letters I'd written to her over the years but never sent. And one final note. "I gave you life twice. Once when you were born and once when I saved your daughter. I hope someday you understand what that means." I left the hospital that afternoon without saying goodbye to anyone. I gave her back her memories, and then I disappeared. Changed my will. Everything goes to Lila. But the trust has conditions. If Avery tries to access it before Lila turns 21, the whole thing vanishes. I met with my lawyer the week after the surgery. "I want to make sure Lila is provided for," I explained. "But I don't want Avery controlling the money." The trust was ironclad. Educational expenses, medical needs, housing, all covered. But only for Lila. If Avery tried to access the funds early, they'd be donated to charity. My lawyer raised an eyebrow. "This is unusual." So is being erased by your own daughter. She nodded. Understood. I signed the papers, feeling a strange sense of peace. She'll have to earn her way back, not into my will, but into her daughter's future. An anonymous video landed in my inbox. Avery's wedding with audio. Her father saying, "If you want me to walk you down the aisle, you cut your mother out." She said, "Okay," like it was nothing. I'd heard rumors, but hearing it confirmed was different. The video showed them in a private room before the ceremony. Her father smug and controlling. Her stepmother beside him, nodding approvingly. "She'll just cause drama," Barbara added. "It's better this way." Avery hesitated for only a moment. Then she said, "Okay. I'll tell her not to come." No argument. No defense of me. Just, okay. I watched that video 3 times, each viewing cutting deeper. She didn't betray me for love. She did it for convenience. I saved the video, just in case. I started writing a letter to Lila, to be opened on her 18th birthday. It doesn't beg. It doesn't condemn. It simply tells her who I was. Dear Lila, by the time you read this, you'll be 18. A young woman finding her place in the world. I want you to know who your grandmother was. Not the version you might have heard, but the truth. I loved your mother more than anything. I gave everything I had to raise her. But sometimes love isn't enough. Sometimes people rewrite history to fit the story they want to tell. I don't know what you've been told about me, but I want you to know, I never stopped loving you, even from a distance. I sealed it and gave it to my lawyer for safekeeping. If she wants to know the truth, she'll get it straight from me. Lila's first birthday. I wasn't invited, but I sat in a cafe across the street from the park. I saw her cling to the nanny, not her step-grandmother. She was walking now, toddling unsteadily across the grass. Her dark curls bounced with each step. Avery was on her phone, distracted. Barbara was talking to other adults, showing off. But the nanny, a kind-looking woman in her 50s, was the one chasing Lila, catching her when she stumbled, making her laugh. I watched through the cafe window, coffee growing cold in my hands. Lila reached for the nanny when she fell. Not Avery. Not Barbara. Nanny. She doesn't know who I am. But something in her already does. She has my mother's name. Maybe she'll have her strength too. The leaked audio from the hospital goes viral. Parenting forums explode. Influencer deals back out. Avery's perfect image cracks. Someone had recorded Barbara's lobby meltdown and synced it with screenshots of Avery's social media posts, the ones erasing me. The internet is ruthless. Mommy bloggers dissected her grateful daughter persona. Reddit threads called her a narcissist. Think pieces about parental alienation flooded Medium. Avery's carefully curated Instagram, full of #blessed and #familyfirst posts, became a joke. Brands dropped sponsorships. Her lifestyle blog lost followers by the thousands. I didn't start the fire. But I didn't put it out either. She spent years building a brand. Took 1 minute of honesty to destroy it. Her husband files for separation. Her career dissolves. He found the envelope I left. He read every word. Avery called me hysterical. "You ruined my life," she screamed through the phone. I stayed calm. "I saved your daughter's life. What you did with yours is your choice. Ryan's leaving me. He thinks I'm a monster." "Are you?" She went silent. "Did you tell him the truth about me?" "Yes." "About what you did?" I told him you were difficult. And now he knows the real story." A sob. "Please. Please help me fix this. I can't fix what you broke, Avery." Hung up. She didn't just lose me. She lost the version of herself she convinced the world to love. I started volunteering at the hospital. Quietly. Helping other families. Telling no one who I really am. No fame. No credit. Just healing. I worked with transplant families, offering support during their hardest moments. I understood their fear, their hope, their complicated emotions. Sometimes I'd see parents fighting in waiting rooms. Marriages strained by illness. Families fractured by stress. Sit with them. Listen. Offer coffee and tissues. One mother asked me, "How do you stay so calm?" I smiled sadly. Practice. The work gave me purpose. Gave me peace. I didn't get my daughter back. Got something better, peace. She showed up one afternoon outside the hospital. Sad-eyed one. I looked her in the eye and said, "This wasn't revenge. This was a boundary." She looked thinner, tired. Her expensive clothes hung loose on her frame. "I lost everything," she said quietly. "You lost things. Not everything. Ryan won't let me see Lila unsupervised. My career is over. Dad and Barbara won't even return my calls." I didn't feel satisfaction. Just sadness. "What do you want from me, Avery?" I want to understand. How did you do it? How did you just let go?" "I didn't let go. I let you go." "What's the difference?" "One is giving up. The other is self-preservation." She wiped her eyes. Can we try again?" Thought about it. Really thought about it. Then I walked away. For the second time. Only this time it was for me. I was planting daffodils when the letter came. No return address. Just a drawing. A crayon scribble. "Thank you, Nana." My hands trembled as I held it. Lila was 3 now. Old enough to hold a crayon to write letters. The drawing showed 3 people. A small one in the middle, a taller one beside her, and another one, me. Standing slightly apart. All 3 were smiling. No words except "thank you." I pressed the letter to my chest and cried in my garden, surrounded by flowers I'd planted for a future I couldn't control. I didn't know if Avery sent it or if the nanny did. I didn't know if I'd ever see Lila again. But I knew this. She may never know everything I did. But someday she'll know I never stopped loving her, even when I stopped chasing her. I folded the letter carefully and placed it in my safe, next to all the others. Evidence of love. Evidence of loss. Evidence that I tried.